Hi, my name is Kara Adams, and this is my Write Your Book webinar. So I do this totally free webinar because I love getting tools and giving tips to new and aspiring authors. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, jump in and get started. If you see the poll on your screen, I would love to know how long you've thought about writing your book. And, just fill it out as we go. I'm just going to leave it on the side. And what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that we can get started. If you are distracted, then stop your distractions, move them. We're going to be here together for 15-20 minutes. And, if you have any questions, please feel free to put your questions in the comment section and I will answer them as soon as I see them or as soon as I can. And we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to share my screen so that you can see it. All right. All righty. So this is my free guide, what it looks like. It's also available if you go to my Instagram page, you'll see it in the bio. Hopefully you'll also see it on this presentation because I'm sharing it as well. And we're going to begin. So if you're here, it's because you, one, want to write a book, or two, because you have started writing a book and you just can't seem to find the time, the passion, the whatever to finish it. So stick with me. We'll get it done. We'll get her done. So I've put together these 10 tasks that I actually use every time I start a new book writing project. I used it for my memoir. And so I'm going to share it with you. If you see something that you would like to add, if you are like, Kara, this part sucks, I hate it, whatever, comment and, we will work on it to keep making it great. So task number one to writing your book and getting you started is you kind of have to ask yourself why you're writing your book. Do you have something, that you want to share with the world? Do you have kind of a life hack at being able to get your kids off to school, getting them to eat their lunch and not throw it away? Whatever that might be, you want to start with knowing your why you're doing it. Is it because, you want to quit your job and support your family and live that writer's lifestyle? Just what is your why? And you can, comment what your why is. You can, download this paper. You can fill it out. You can email me, whatever you want, but write down your why. Number two, you want to know and you want to think about what genre you're writing in. And by that, I'm going to just push and skip over to slide number 3 because I kind of, went into the different genres. So, if you're writing to market, which means you want to write something that's popular, that will sell, that will earn you income, then the by far, hands down, best genre to write in is kind of that romance / erotica genre. And I don't know why they always put these two together because romance accounts for 99% of the genre and like 1% of it is erotica. But if you love reading romance books, have a go at writing a romance book. They make up 40% of all ebooks that are sold on Amazon, which is huge, 40%. Now, we won't even go into how much to price it and all that. We'll get to that later. But romance novels are by far the number one genre / book category you can write in. The second is your nonfiction. So this is your memoirs, your how-tos. It's really limitless what you can write. And nonfiction account for about 30% of all ebook sales. And then you have kind of like your crime and your mystery. Personally, I have a goal in 2020 to write a cozy mystery. I have the title, I have it plotted. I'm going to write this book. I can't wait to do it. But for you, what is your passion project? What do you want to write in? You know, you have your religious and inspirational, you have your sci-fi and fantasy. I will say sci-fi and fantasy, I don't know a ton about that particular category. And I know that there are a ton of books, ton of authors. And what I will say is it seems to me by my research that if you want to really make your way into sci-fi, you want to have an amazing cover. All of these, you want to have a good cover that you love, but especially sci-fi and fantasy, you have to have an amazing world that people can get lost into. And you want to have an amazing cover that will actually inspire people to click on that link to buy your book. So part number 3, or not part, but task number 3 is, when do you want to have your first draft written? What that boils down to is, do you want to have your book written in 3 months, 6 months, a year, 3 years? I would say, you know, my tools are really for those authors that like say, okay, I want to get my book done in under a year. Because I feel like if you push it out too far, you have too many excuses of why you don't write every day. But when you know, like, I want to write my book in 6 months, and you have a timeline and you have daily goals and weekly goals, you'll get it done. You will get it done, because it's much more digestible when we break it down, which is what we'll do next after I pass this slide. So task number 4 is, when you think about your book, you think about your genre, then this is kind of where, when I was first writing my memoir, it was like, I didn't know how many pages, I didn't know how many words, you know, and I had to do a lot of research. And so I wanted to kind of provide something that was super easy to digest on what your word counts approximately should look like for your genre. So back in the slide before, it showed that like your nonfictions can be anywhere from like 5,000 words to 30,000 words, which what makes the barrier to entry to write them so low. It's because, you know, to write 5,000 words, you know, you can do that in a few days, versus writing 100,000 words for an epic novel. You know, that's going to take you a little longer. So probably most of the people, you know, who are watching the webinar or who are interested in what we're doing, you're probably somewhere in between that nonfiction, memoir, how-to, to that fiction, you know, romance, cozy mystery, that kind of thing. And that, you know, that category really lives somewhere in, I would say, kind of the 30,000 to the 60, 70,000 word range. And when you break it down, it's really, really not that bad, which is what we're going to do now. And when, for me, you know, when I knew that I was writing my book and that it was 42,000 words, you know, I wrote my book in 1 week. So I wrote 42,000 words in 7 days, and it ended up being about 7,000 words a day, which you might think is like, oh my God, there's no way in God's green earth I can do that. But I assure you, if I can do it, you can do it. We've just got to remove some of your pain points. One of which is thinking, I'm not a writer, I can't do it, I don't have the time. Yeah. We can get past all of that. I never in a million years saw myself as a writer. So if I can do it, you can do it. So back to it. So with my genre, I knew that I wanted, my initial goal was to write 30,000 words, and it was to have 5,000 words in a chapter, because basically you want to just evenly break out your word count by chapter so that it's equal. You don't want to have your chapter 3 and you don't want to have that be like 15,000 words and, you know, your other chapters are all 2,000. It's just really hard for the reader. And we want to make, you know, we don't want someone to just pick up our book or just buy our book. We want them to read it and gain something from it. So, you know, the example I'm going to use in the next slide is kind of sitting in that 50,000 word space. And when you think about 50,000, that 50,000 word space, we're thinking like 10 chapters and 50,000 words. You can call it, maybe 200 to 250 pages, depending on typeset. So we will go into the example. So for me, I'm the one who kind of works from the back forward, from the end and with the end in mind. So I knew how many words I wanted to be, but I didn't know like what that meant daily. And for my case, I went away for a week and I just wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote. But for you, that might not be feasible. And I would say I probably wouldn't do that again because that was a really painful way to write. And writing should not be painful. I should put that as one of my tasks. Writing should not be painful. But anyways, so with task number 5, you're going to write what your daily word count writing goal is. You're going to write it down. And I've created this little formula to help you. So let's say you're writing that cozy mystery, that memoir, that cookbook. No, cookbook doesn't count. But that cute little non-fictional piece, whatever. And we've decided, that you want it to be a little bit on the substantial side. So you're going to go 50,000 words. And you've given yourself 6 months, which, for most people is very realistic if you can, kind of cut out about an hour to 2 hours of your day to write every day. So with this example, with the 5,000 total word count for your book and the 180 days you have to write it, that equals about 278 words that you have to write every day to achieve your goal of having your book done in 6 months. And so what that equals to is like one page, we all say one page is about 300 words. So here we're basically saying you're going to write 1 page a day. And now remember, we're only talking about pre-work. We're talking about your first draft. So with you writing 1 page a day, we're not taking into account editing at all. The goal is to get the words on the page. The goal is to get the words on the page. One more time. The goal is to get the words on the page. So with this, you can do 1 page a day. I know you can. For me, I'm not always able, things might come up. I might be speaking. I might be doing stuff with the family. And so, usually I get up at about 5 a.m. and that's when I do a lot of my content writing, a lot of my book writing. But sometimes, I sleep in or I just miss my writing period. And so I also create this weekly writing goal for myself so that if I don't hit every single daily goal, I can still celebrate hitting my weekly goal. And so with that, I just took the 278, the 270 words that we need to write a day, the 1 page we need to write a day, and I multiplied that by 7 days. So basically, your goal is give or take about 2,000 words, about 2,000 words a week, and about 7 pages a week. You can do 7 pages a week. I know you can. I'm here for you. Comment number 1 if you know you can, because I know you can. Okay. Task number 7. And I kind of alluded, I like writing at 5 a.m. in the morning. It's very weird. I'm just really clear. I am focused. I am not easily distracted. So I like, that 5 a.m. time slot. But what time can you write and give yourself an hour to 2 hours of uninterrupted, focused writing? Whatever time that is in the day for you, it might be lunchtime. It might be, if you're at work, it might be going somewhere for an hour and taking your lunch and writing in your car. Just wherever, what time of the day can you dedicate to writing every single day? And if you go a step further, my recommendation is, and a tip is that you actually schedule it and you put it in your planner, you put it in your phone, so that every time you don't schedule over that time for yourself. I know for me at 5 a.m., I don't really got much going on. All I have to do is set my alarm to wake up. But what can you do? And if you've printed out this worksheet and this guide, you can write it in here, or you can just write it in your notes. Task number 8, excuse me, is where will you write each day? So for me, and I'll probably adjust my guide a bit because, I had 3 main places of writing. Now, even though for me, I wrote it in 1 week, I flew to Portland. I, wrote constantly. I had a writing coach who helped me to kind of formulate my thoughts, who, I use that same technique that we used. I use that every single day, and that's what I teach. I had locations that served different purposes for me. My primary location was my creative writing. It's where I could write the fastest. It's where thoughts just really kind of flew into my head. And that was on the couch with a blanket, with a tea on one side and some little cute snacks on the, sweet snacks on the other side. But it was my comfortable, cushy, warm place where I would write. And it was where, it's where my chapter 1s all start. They all start on the couch with me super comfortable, and with me feeling, me feeling cozy is a good word. Number 2, I have as my backup location, but really what that is for me is, where's your safe location? Where can you write when you have to kind of tackle tough subjects? When you have to think back to times that were really tough in your life, where, or in the part in your book where your characters are going through something traumatic. Where can you write where you're in a safe place, where you can make ugly faces, where you can do your ugly cry, where you can do whatever you need to do, where you can grunt in, whatever you need to experience, you can do so, and do so in a place where it feels judgment free. It feels like nobody's looking at you, nobody's watching you, where you feel like you can write, the F word 20 times and nobody's going to be looking over your shoulder. Where can you do that? For me, I would go into a bedroom and I would lock the door and I would sit, and I have actually never said this in one of these recordings, so you guys are super lucky. But I also had a lemon diffuser where just the clean scent made me feel really safe and made me feel like I could write anything on the piece of paper on my laptop and it would be okay. So where is your safe place that you can write, where you can go when you need to write something that's tough or difficult or emotional, challenging, whatever that might be for you? Where is your backup location / your safe place where you can write? The third one is my backup to my backup location. And really what that is where can I go when I begin the process of kind of, I don't know what the word is, but where I like to do my shitty rough draft first. But, after I'm done with a chapter, and I know like part of my advice is do as I say, not as I do, because I will write a complete chapter and I will not edit, I will not reread, I will not do anything. But once that chapter is done, then a lot of the times I'll go back and I'll find places where I can be more detailed, where I can just make my book better. And so that backup to the backup location usually is somewhere that is a little less comfortable, but more office-like, more studious. So for me, it was like my kitchen table. But for you, it might be a coffee shop. It might be, library. Just for some reason, I liked more structure when I was going in and proofreading or editing or reading to make my book better or the chapter better. So where would that third place, that backup to the backup location be for you? And you can write that in. Now, number 9, I would say, is the second to hardest of all of the tasks, all the tips that I'm going to give you right now. And that is because you've got to commit to finishing. You got to commit. And I would say it's not hard to say, like, okay, I'm going to finish in 6 months. What is hard about it is that I'm saying that I'm going to finish and I'm going to give it to blah, blah, blah to read, which means I'm going to finish it and I'm going to share it. And that sharing is, if not the hardest part of what you will do when you write. If it's not the hardest, it's the second hardest. So I put like just a little section in here where it's, I, Kara Adams, commit to writing my book and sharing it with who? Who are you going to share it with that will hold you accountable? And finally, number 10 is it's time to start writing. You've got to actually write your book. You got to do it. You've come this far. You have to do it. So those are my 10 tasks. And I have kind of put together my Write Your Book guide in 4 parts. So the first part is all the pre-work. So hopefully you have enjoyed the pre-work part of it. If you have any questions, if you want me to dive deeper, in a certain section, then please leave a comment. If you like it, please like on Facebook, Instagram, wherever you found me, please comment and let me know that this is something that is worth me doing and that it's helping. So with that, I leave you. With that, I hope you have an amazing day. If you want more, you can always email me. My email is info@karaadams.com, or you can comment on my social media. So with that, I'm going to go back to my webinar and I'm going to bid you adieu. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope to get to know each and every one of you. Until we meet again,